When you think of Superman, what's the first thing that comes to mind? More powerful than a locomotive, right? Flying heat vision, ... But the comics? The comics are a whole different level of insanity. I'm not talking about lifting a few hundred tons. I'm talking about numbers with so many zeros they barely fit on the page. I'm talking about feats that completely shatter the laws of physics and common sense. So, how strong is Superman really? For that, we have to talk about one of the most celebrated Superman stories ever. All-Star Superman. We've established that Superman can, with some effort, bench press the planet for days and casually one-hand a weight that dwarfs anything on Earth. But this is where we leave the world of countable numbers behind and enter the truly cosmic scale of his power. In this story, Superman gets supercharged by flying into the sun, and his powers are amped up big time. To test his new limits, a scientist has him lift a device that measures his strength. In one Golden Age story, he actually created a new sun for a dying planet by smashing two moons together. The laws of physics that govern our reality are more like friendly suggestions to him. But even these insane feats of cosmic strength are nothing compared to his ultimate. Most abstract displays of power, the moments where he lifts not just physical objects but ideas. This isn't just raw power. It's cosmic level engineering, or the concept of eternity itself. Because yeah, Superman has lifted that too, twice. He's not just a strong man. He's a force of nature who can rearrange the solar system when he needs to. The answer is whatever the story needs him to lift. He's a physical god whose strength goes beyond physics and into the realm of mythology. In it, Superman and Captain Marvel are in a higher dimensional realm where they have to lift the Book of Eternity. It's tough to create drama when your main character can solve any problem by just throwing it into the sun. But even in his more toned-down modern versions, he's always shown to be one of the most physically powerful beings in the DC universe. The whole bench-pressing the Earth thing, for instance, is from the much more recent New 52 era. And if you enjoyed this breakdown of the Man of Steel's power, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss our next video where we explore another one of your favorite heroes. Thanks for watching. Classic explanation, of course, is his Kryptonian biology. Under a yellow sun, like ours, his cells are like living solar panels, soaking up energy to fuel his powers. This is also why his strength can change. If he's been away from the sun, he gets weaker. If he sun dips and absorbs a massive amount of solar radiation, his powers can be boosted to unimaginable levels, like we saw in All-Star Superman. He's strong enough to move stars and hold black holes in his hand. He's strong enough to literally lift the concepts of eternity and infinity. His strength isn't a number you can just write down, it's a statement. It's the physical proof of the idea that no problem is too big to solve and no obstacle is too heavy to move. He isn't just strong. For all intents and purposes, he is strength. This book has an infinite number of pages, and because of that, it has infinite weight. The Superman of the Silver Age was famously overpowered. He's doing things like sneezing away an entire solar system or moving galaxies without breaking a sweat. Writers back then were less worried about narrative stakes and more interested in creating wild, imaginative stories. He is the ultimate power fantasy, a being whose physical limits are defined only by the size of the threats he faces. It's a metaphysical objecta, physical stand-in for a limitless concept. And together, they lift it. Now you could argue this is just a metaphor for Superman's unending hope, but in the story, it's treated as a literal feat. With help, he lifted an object with infinite mass. Superman casually lifts it with one hand, and the machine immediately maxes out, clocking in at 200 quintillion tons. That's 200 billion tons, and the comic makes it clear that wasn't his limit, it was the machine's. He could have lifted more, and he barely had to brace himself. The answer is way more ridiculous and amazing than you can possibly imagine. In JLA, the Spectre, Soul War, the Spectre, who's pretty much the embodiment of God's wrath, gets knocked unconscious. It's the writers telling us that when it comes to raw power, Superman's only real limit is imagination. He has punched through the walls of reality, delivered an infinite mass punch, by flying at near light speed to destroy a shadow moon. He's pulled apart mystical chains binding Earth's continents. He's even pulled things out of the source wall, the boundary of the entire DC multiverse. Feat that would require generating multiversal levels of energy with pure physical force. His body, which is said to contain eternity itself, starts to fall. Who catches him? Superman and Wonder Woman? Think about that. The weight of eternity, all of time and existence packed into one being, and Superman is one of the two people strong enough to hold him up. Stick around, because we're about to get into the moments that prove the Man of Steel's power is basically limitless. You've got the laws of physics, inertia, the sun's gravitational pull. It's a challenge on a completely different level. A level that Superman has proven, time and again, he can handle. The classic stuff. We all have this picture in our heads of a hero who is just ... crazy strong. In one story, as a younger Superboy, he was shown towing an entire string of planets on a comically huge chain, moving them to save them from a dying sun. He's moved the massive war planet, Warworld, which is much larger than Earth, and thrown it into the Phantom Zone to save our world. He once held a miniature black hole in his bare hand to keep it from expanding and swallowing our solar system. The amount of energy and gravitational force you'd need to contain something like that, even for a second, is just astronomical. It's not just about being strong. It's about having a body that can withstand the fundamental forces of the universe trying to tear it apart. He wasn't struggling. He was just casually flying through space, getting the job done. But what if I told you that comparing Superman's real strength to a locomotive is like comparing a water pistol to a supernova? And what's the weight setting on this cosmic workout machine? It's the mass of the Earth. That's 5.972 sextillion metric tons. For a little context, a sextillion has 21 zeros. Doesn't just lift it. He bench presses this weight for 5 days straight. And during this time, he's cut off from the yellow sun, his main power source, running only on stored solar energy. After 5 days of repping the planet, the result? A single drop of sweat. We think we know how strong he is. We've seen him lift cars, stop trains, and even hold up buildings in the movies. Alright, let's kick things off with something you can almost wrap your head around. If your head were the size of a small moon, we need a baseline, a number to get us started. There's no better place to look than the time he decided to work out, the entire Earth. In the new 52 Superman series, issue number 13 to be exact, Superman gets into a machine designed to push his physical limits. Just let that sink in. The entire weight of our world, every mountain, every ocean, every single continent used as a dumbbell. For Superman, it was just a tough 5-day workout. This feat alone puts his strength in a category that, from a real-world physics standpoint, is completely incomprehensible. But that's not even his most famous measurable feat. These two feats give us our starting point. Lifting the weight of the Earth is one thing. Actually moving the planet is a whole other problem. Throughout his history, moving planets has kind of become his signature move, especially back in the Silver Age, when writers were constantly dreaming up new ways to show off his power. In more modern comics, these kinds of feats are used a little more carefully, but they're just as impressive. But why stop at planets? Superman has messed with stars too. This escalation is the key to understanding him. He operates on a level where planets are just obstacles and suns are tools. This is where things go completely off the rails. What's heavier than a planet, a sun, or a galaxy? How about everything? The first and most famous time was in the story Final Crisis. Superman Beyond. Second time is maybe even more mind-blowing. You can't measure these feats in tons or sextillions. It's his strength on a conceptual level. When you get to this level, the question, how much can he lift, just doesn't matter anymore. So how is any of this even possible? It's also important to remember that Superman's power level hasn't been consistent throughout his long history. Modern writers usually scale him back to tell stories with a bit more tension. Ultimately, Superman's strength is a storytelling device. He is as strong as he needs to be to represent hope and to overcome impossible odds. So, how strong is Superman really? Strong enough to use our planet as a piece of gym equipment? What do you think is Superman's most insane feat of strength? Did I miss any of your favorites? Let me know down in the comments.